So, how many of you loved, and I mean really, really loved, like I did, season 1 of a brand new show called Star Trek Discovery? How many of you got through that season with those twists and went, whoa, and then there's another twist, and you went, whoa, I think you get to the end, the very last scene, and not only did you go, whoa, you wept.
No, I didn't do that. I got cold chills by then, I didn't weep.
Did you not weep when you see that ship face to face with the Discovery, and then you hear the closing credits? That being,
that's what gives it the cold
boy, what a great way to cap off a terrific first season for Discovery and to set the stage for the next one. And let's set the stage for the next one and look back at an amazing first season. Our first guest right now joining us on the stage for this amazing panel for Star Trek Discovery. He is the new Captain Christopher Pike. Please welcome Anson Mount. Who had a better year. And we really didn't even see his face, his real face, but you are now. And he is seriously the nicest person you'll ever meet, and I mean that. And for those of you who already know this, you can vouch for it. Please welcome Doug Jones! Discovery week after week, and then binging on it like I now have twice. Seeing the performance of this actor, she is, without question, one of the very finest actors to grace a Star Trek stage, and one of the finest actors I have seen on the small screen recently. Please welcome Soniqua Martin-Green. Welcome. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Hey, everybody.
I've been wanting to say this all weekend. I've been wanting to say this all weekend. So this is your first official Star Trek convention. Okay. Here's what I want to say. To each of you and to every member of Discovery who has been here this weekend, on behalf of everyone in this room, on behalf of everyone who will hopefully be watching some of this stuff from around the world, welcome to the family. So, okay, how was your year?
Mind-blowing, divine.
Extraordinary, bold, enlightening.
Yes. You know,
I was kind of like that.
You know,
it's incredible.
what I mean, just a year ago we had some of the, a lot of the writers, some of the actors and producers and costume designers, and it was hard because they they didn't want to give anything away, nor should they. You know, it's very tough these days with the internet spoilers. And now you can talk about season 1 to your heart's desire. Looking back on season 1 and looking ahead to season 2. But looking back on season 1, like with this perspective now, that it's done, it is done, and it's there forever. Like, how proud are you of this season? And is there a moment, filming or watching, that made you feel the most proud? I'm asking good questions.
These are good questions. They're hard to answer.
They are. I mean, we've all just been crying a lot this weekend, and we feel like we need to control ourselves and stop being so dramatic. But yeah, you're always at the brink of tears because I think the whole thing in its totality makes us proud to be a part of this legacy. This is an heirloom, and to be welcomed into the family like we have been by everyone, by you, by all the other artists from the other iterations that we come in contact with and are, bringing us in with open arms, all of that in addition to the story that we're telling, right now, mirroring society right now, not just mirroring it, but showing a picture of what we can be, what we will be if we fight for it today. It's just all so... It's overpowering and it's overwhelming, and we just we just want so desperately to give it justice.
Yeah. Well, gosh. I love you more. Having been born in 1960 and having grown up as a 6-year-old boy watching it on NBC, the original series for the first time with my family in the living room, this has been Star Trek has been a part of my entire life. I'm 58 now, and don't I look good? But having been a creature in so many fantasy, sci-fi, comic book, horror product over the past 32 years, the question has always come up: have you done anything on Star Trek yet? Anything Star Trek yet? And well, not yet. And so finally now, right after I did The Shape of Water. What a good! Thank you so much. I did have a fine ass. I had to give it back every day, but
picture of everyone that shows up. Did he come up with everyone his ass? Because I was thinking,
I'm not sure how much more rubber bits I can withstand. The older I get, the less fun that part of it becomes. And then I got offered the role of Saru in Star Trek Discovery. All right, I'm still in. Okay. So finally, I get to be a part of this particular family, this particular franchise, this particular legacy, and I could not be more proud. Thank you so much.
Anson Mount. So when I first saw a picture of you as Pike, before I saw the trailer, the peak at season 2, I went, wow, that is like amazing casting. And then when I saw the teaser for season 2, the polar opposite approach between Pike and Lorca. Of course, now we know why Lorca was so dark. But going to just 2 weeks ago in San Diego at Comic-Con, you met someone really special there, didn't you?
Yeah. Chris Hunter, Jeffrey Hunter's son, came all the way to Comic-Con just to tell me that he felt his father would have approved. And that just meant so much. And it's funny you mention that. Everybody's like, oh my God, you know how much you look like Jeffrey Hunter? And I didn't think so at first, right? Because you look at yourself in the mirror every day and you have a different picture of yourself. And then one day I came across a picture of Jeffrey Hunter he had played Jesus at one point. And for a second, I thought I'd come across a picture of Cullen Bohan. And I went, oh, okay, yeah, now I see it, yeah.
Well, he filmed King of Kings, where he played Jesus,
Right,
same
King of Kings,
year
right.
that he filmed The Cage. And same year, 1964. How crazy is that? So, what is your nickname for Anson on the set?
Do you know what an answer we don't know?
I think I do.
You do?
Anson?
Oh!
Anson, yes. Of course, look at him, yes.
Does that make you feel welcome or what?
It's better than Branson.
But I guess my question, is, so Pike is the first, yes, he's the first captain of the Enterprise, in terms of, visually, up until Enterprise. But this was the captain that Gene Roddenberry envisioned as the captain of the Enterprise first, before Kirk, before anyone else. So how do you just take that one scene, the one episode, The Cage, the Menagerie, and take what Jeffrey Hunter did, but bring in your own element to make Pike your own?
It's hard because there's The Cage and then there's the Menagerie.
Yeah.
Those are two very different things.
Yes, they are.
I think that I do kind of like play around with this idea sometimes of, we have the established character and now we're going back and starting and wondering, how does this guy, am I establishing a guy that can see moving forward that ends up making that decision in the Menagerie, but in a way that's victorious and self-realizing and not a tragedy. But that hasn't really informed me at all. What's informed me more is having grown up watching the original series and knowing the series and knowing Roddenberry's work and knowing that if this is Roddenberry's original guy, he is kind of has to be the embodiment of an optimism, the same optimism that Roddenberry had about that we are at our most basic good and curious and adventurous. And so I just, having to put together a guy who covers those bases but is still not flat as, a flat portrait of something that is just a protagonist. Because I'm not the protagonist. I'm here to augment the protagonist of this show.
I have to say, I am digging the pointed sideburns.
Thank you. Thank you. They're better in theory than they are in real life. Because in the TV, you have someone who's constantly just like doing that for you with gel, and in real life, they're like.
Doug and Soniqua. So when you started really getting into the development of that first season, how far into the season, when you started, did you know where this was going to go in terms of the twist? Like, did you know that like when you started filming the first episode, or were you like filming along and then you get this script and like, oh, we're going to someplace else and Lorca's not who we think he is?
I was going to say which twist, but I know I for one certainly knew about Lorca because I needed to know what we were creating from the beginning, and a lot of us did know because we needed to know, because Jason, the brilliant Jason Isaacs, right? He was very mindful from the beginning about having something be very apparent retroactively, being able to go back and see it and see the nuggets and see the, look at it in a different way when you watch it the second, third, fourth time, right? And so we had to make sure that we created, and keeping that in mind was also just keeping it authentic, for the moment, because of who he was and where he came from. So I knew, and I do believe
Yeah,
you do as well.
It seems like the writers gave us all options to know how much do you want to know as an actor. And I'm one of those who wants to discover one script at a time, because that's all I can handle. But that was an arc that I did have. I was his first officer, so I had to know why I didn't trust him. You know, because when have you not trusted a Starfleet captain ever in the history of stuff? All right, so there was something about him that was unorthodox and a little bit, you know, more cowboyish, and so it was important to know that, see that coming, but not know it apparently on screen in the moment, you know.
And how great was it for Michelle Yeoh?
Michelle Yeoh, everybody, please.
Michelle Yeoh!
Crazy Rich Asians, August 15th. She's also a beast. She's brilliant. She's amazing.
And so she gets to start the season, one way, and come back, and like what a great gift for an actor to do.
Absolutely.
She crushed it.
And she's perfect for it, right? She's a living legend, right? And you know, one of the most graceful women I've ever met, and so humble and just a gorgeous person. So, you know, it was quite an experience to start the show with her. You know, we were on the ground level, you know, with her starting, and then to have Captain Georgiou go, you know, it was quite sad for us as well, because you know, Captain Georgiou is gone, right? And you know, she brought Emperor Georgiou to us, but there was certainly a sense of loss as well. But it was just amazing to have her back, and then to see what she could do as the Emperor, and just, I mean, she's just completely different, you know, which is such a testament to how good she is.
So the interesting, no other Star Trek show, in fact, I'm trying to think of another TV series period that has started twice.
You're right.
Okay, because you know I was at that premiere at the Cinerama Dome, which was very exciting. And then you see the third episode, and I'm like, oh, this is finally we haven't seen the Discovery yet. It was so dynamic. It was so different. So for both of you, like shifting again, like by the third episode, sometimes people are getting the hang of it, but you actually had to shift. What was that like? That's a kind of a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, well, for me, my rank changed. So did yours, unfortunately. But because we have like sort of a brother-sister relationship, and very competitive with each other, and like kind of trying to elbow each other out. We wanted to get the captain's chair. We were trying to beat each other there, and she outranked me on the Shenzhou, and that was a little bit of a I'm gunning for you, girl. So then but again, though, his deep love for her, with a sense of family, I didn't want to see her demoted the way she was. I would rather see her, you know, not commit a mutiny, whatever. So when we start on the Discovery and she meets me as Commander Saru, the first officer of the ship, I'm proud of myself, of course, because I got here, but at the same time there was a sadness to it, like, dagnabbit, you were almost there, you know, and so we did have to start with a whole new relationship. The pecking order had changed, and that changed the dynamic a little bit. But our brother-sister thing was still there, even though the trust had been a bit broken, but we had a place to build from, and boy did we throughout season 1, you know, and the brother-sister thing and the deep love and the connection between us continues. Season 2 is going to be good.
It is, you guys. And I think too, it was just really, thank you for saying that it was dynamic. I certainly felt the same way. You're used to seeing it in a show, especially a show of this kind, a sort of flashback, you know, maybe it's several flashbacks, but we were able to spend 2 episodes worth of time with how we got here, right? And so you get to see, you know, that journey and how awful it was. And, you know, you see that fall from grace, and you see the fall from grace, you see the death, right? And you see the beginning of this war that plagues us for the rest of the season. So I thought it was really powerful to be able to spend that much time in yesterday before starting, right?
You know what else was powerful for me, and for many of us, was the love triangle. I mean, that was a very, very dynamic love triangle with Rel and Tyler.
Chief, she's on the TV, you guys, right?
Mary the Sheep. So lovely.
She's awesome. She's awesome. She's awesome. They both are.
But that was a really dynamic triangle, and it was heartbreaking what happened in there.
Right, it was a cross-species triangle. Right, there were so many different species involved in that triangle. and I love how complicated it was. It was so complicated. Here you have these, you have these two people who, as Burnham, I hadn't quite experienced that kind of free love from someone. My parents were murdered. Giorgio, was murdered, and I felt I had a hand in in all three of those deaths. And then I always felt like I had to fight for Sarek's approval. I had to be Vulcan for him. I had to be human for Amanda. It was all these things, and here comes this guy who just loves me for who I am. But there was also this unspoken, sort of attraction or connection to not understanding what world you belong to. Both being in the sort of ether between that we, connected to. But then you bring in Laurel, who also has this bond, this deep connection with Vogue, and then has to deal with, completely gave over what she wanted, her desires, for the needs of the many, right? And then having that heartbreak, and then I thought it was really painful. I thought it was painfully compelling. It was certainly fulfilling to play as an actor.
Going back and watching the first season now, the thing about a twist is you go back and you watch it differently. And you watch it, everything that happens in and around Lorca differently. Yeah. Except what remains the same is just how sort of terrified everybody is. But the little footage we saw of season 2, Pike steps off that transport platform, and he's got this vibrancy to him, this hope to him, and he shines. That gold shirt. Oh my God, that gold shirt looked great. That gold shirt looked perfect. What was it like putting that thing on? How cool was that wearing that thing? I love it.
Very tight. A lot of fittings. Went into that. A lot of hours on the treadmill went into that. The most surreal moment was sitting in the captain's chair for the first time, which actually I just got to go sit in the original.
You did that?
Original.
Did you get a picture?
I have video.
Yes.
It's a little embarrassing because I tell people, and it's true. When I sat in the Discovery chair, it was a little emotional. This was really emotional. It was like, oh my God. I didn't see that part of the navigation system. Wow. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
An understatement, by the way. I just wanted to I know we already mentioned this in this panel here, but we have to give a massive congratulations to Doug Jones for the Oscar-winning Best Picture, The Shape of Water. Again, 1 year. Sheesh. Which was the more challenging performance, even though you were able to do one for a lot more time? The performance as the Amphibian Man or Saru?
Completely different characters and different products, really. The Shape of Water, the difficulty with that was I was encased in rubber from head to toe. That's just a physical difficulty. I could not go number 2 for 18 hours a day. Try that at home. Take some prep. I'm on my way. I'm so sorry to leave you with that image. Puppies and kittens. So anyway, and then the underwater element too. We shot some dry for wet, and then I was actually in water for some of it, which was terrifying. I'd never been encased in rubber and submerged in water at the same time trying to act. And there was the romantic element too. I've never been a creature that fell in love and had a romantic, completion of that love. If I can, that's not kind of way to put it. So then coming to Saru, I think Saru is actually more difficult for me and more fulfilling at the end of the day. Simply because what comes with any Star Trek entity is paragraphs of science talk. And and my words intimidate the crap out of me. And that many of them in a row that are oddly configured and hard to say in an emergency. Oh my gosh, right? So, and doing that while I'm standing and balancing on both feet at 6'8". And and there's things going on, and there's a lot at stake, and then you've got to come up with some kind of a great speech to stir the crew or whatever. This is taking more out of me than I ever thought. It's all consuming. But again, like I said, at the end of the day, you can flush that toilet and go, yeah.
So you have another photo or something?
No, I just have to pick it up.
It just shines, doesn't it? Shine.
Anson, have you had your first?
Yeah, go to me now, right?
Your first experience with the tech talk, the techno babble, and getting make it natural.
Doug is not alone. It's a little like doing a medical procedural at sometimes, spitting out all these words, but you have to kind of go through the process of learning what everything is that's being talked about and develop a mental image of it, or you're not going to get through it. And it's what Doug was saying reminded me of this great character actor, Stephen Tobolowsky. Once,
Ed Brierson.
Great guy. He once said that studying acting and then getting out of school and becoming an actor is somewhat akin to studying meteorology, and when you get out of school, they say to you, oh, no, we don't need you to predict the weather. What we need you to do is ride this mechanical bull. It's never worse spoken.
Well, before we go any further and start taking questions from the audience here, I have an announcement.
Oh no!
I have breaking news.
I've been fired.
I can't take it.
Breaking news. Patrick Stewart. No, that was yesterday. This is brand new breaking news. Save the date. Save the date. November 13th. Blu-ray, DVD, Season 1, Star Trek Discovery. I didn't know that yet. In fact, Doug Jones, you can pre-order it tomorrow. Although, I'm sure you'll get a copy. But you're going to have a couple hours here of behind-the-scenes featurettes. You're going to have cast and crew interviews as good as the one on this stage right here. And I think we have something to show you right now. Here it is.
No, wrong one.
Space. Wrong one.
I hate you.
Wrong clip.
Oh, we do have a clip.
Yeah? Should we, do we have that clip? For season 1?
Or we're going to start taking an online course.
Or we can start taking You can do that, by the way. Well, let's take the first question. Let's go over here, stage right, our left.
To tell it no.
The strong and the capable always rise.
I'm responsible for forging my own path. We all are.
Discover the Blu-ray and DVD experience of Star Trek Discovery. All 15 Season 1 episodes with brilliant picture and sound.
Hold tight.
including over 2 hours of intriguing special features that take you behind the scenes.
Anytime I get to fly, I really look forward to that. Ratchet it up, and the higher they take me up, the more fun I have.
Someone on screen going, right, 2, 3, go. Left, 2, 3, go. This one's a really big one. 4, 2, 3, go. No.
It was hard at first trying to get used to owning the captain's chair. It's a big legacy, it's a very important legacy.
You'll get to immerse yourself in the creative process of making the series.
This is what Anson looks like right here, folks.
Exploring the truly inside work.
Oh my God.
And never before seen deleted and extended scenes. I'm living proof that fate is real.
We will not break the rules that protect us from our basest instincts. That is Starfleet.
Star Trek Discovery, Season 1. Added to your collection on Blu-ray and DVD, November 13th, 2018.
Okay.
We'll take 1 second. Your speech at the end of that season, that is Starfleet, brought me to tears. That the chills.
I'm gonna start writing, right?
Excellent, excellent. Question, right over here. Yes, hi.
Hi, my name is Diane Shreve, and it's a pleasure to meet two of you, and one of you, there's love. A couple of quick comments first. I know you guys are slaving away at season 2, and I know, well, I shouldn't say I know, but I have an inkling of just how much time and hard work and effort is poured into that. So from the bottom of my heart and from everyone who loves Discovery, thank you for everything that you guys do for the show. My second comment is, you know, the last year or so has been probably one of the most challenging in my life. And so one of the things that I absolutely love about Discovery is the fact that it is a show based on hope. And it is a show based on love and faith and keeping it together despite facing great adversities and challenges. So, you know, thank you also for being a part of the show. And, you know, this goes out to any of the writers and producers out there who might be listening to this too, that it's a show based on those ideals.
Do you have a question?
Yes.
All right.
So my particular question is for all three of you. And, oh, there's a light now. I know that there is a lot of psyche that you have to go into for very emotional and challenging scenes. What do you do to prepare for those scenes that are so emotional, whether they're emotionally happy or emotionally sad? What do you do to really get yourself into that particular mindset?
Great question.
Thank you for everything that you just said. It means everything. It's why we're here, right? We're all here together. I think for me, it's really just about the story, and it's about diving into it and giving over to it and believing in it, right? And it's about taking it and creating, allowing the story to be the narrative that is the boundaries of your imagination and creating within that. And, you know, something that, it's very hard, this story that has this base theme of universality, that comes with it hardship and challenge. It is very difficult to be all-inclusive in the way that Star Trek is and always has been. And so you have to know that it's going to be deeply emotional because it's this constant cycle of evolution, right? And that cycle of evolution starts first with acceptance, then with celebration, and then and only then can evolution happen. And all the iterations, and certainly our iteration, shows different phases of that revolution, of that cycle, right? And so you've seen evolution that's already happened, and then you're also seeing us continue to accept and celebrate each other and ourselves, right? And so I just dive into that. And, you know, we struggle with each other, and that's so authentic. And I just say, you know what, I'm going. This is worth it. And this is what I'm here for. This is really about love, as you were saying, and hope. And love is active and love is war. Sometimes we have to war with ourselves to win that prize of love, right? And that war is something I'm ready to do. And, you know, I think we all are. We're ready for that. And so we just dive in. And it's painful to do it, but we are honored to do it.
Just on a personal note to your question, episode 8 of season 1, when we made our little planet visit down to Pavo, and Saru went a little bit crazy. He went crazy for good reason though, because he's lived a life of fear. That's all he's ever known is overcoming fear and using fear to survive. And in Pavo, remember his emotional turmoil he was going through was, this is the first time in my life I've ever been fearless, been without fear. I want to stay forever, and we're all going to stay. Crush the communicators, we're staying, right? So
Crush the communicator and grab us by the neck.
Exactly. So that was a very emotional. That was quite a turn for me emotionally as an actor too. Like I've been playing Saru a certain way. And now to find another side of him where gets violent even to protect his new life that he thinks he's going to have in a crazy way. So when I was transported back up to Discovery and landed on the transporter pad, I actually was a heap of tears that day because I know what it's like to live a life of fear. I'm kind of fearful every day. And I also want to say thank you to everybody who's come up to my table this weekend to tell me your dealings with fear and anxiety, and how Saru has been a beacon of hope for you. So, we're right, because we have watched him. I've been on the ride with you, watching Saru overcome fears and actually come into his own, finding a sense of leadership, finding a sense of courage that he never knew he had before. That evolution continues. And so let us all look to Saru for a little bit of hope in overcoming those little, what we find in defects in ourselves, but our strength actually is in there somewhere.
What's your name?
My name's Diane.
Diane, I hope you're on the upswing. We've all had years like that. In answer to your question, I've learned so much about the maturation process of an actor is really just learning where, what kind, what shape of an instrument you have. We're not just handed a piano. We have to find what that thing is, and it's a different instrument for each one of us. And it's one of the cool things about acting is that you learn about it as you mature as a human being if you listen. And there's, you know, they say the great concert pianists don't begin to hit maturation until they start hearing the space between the notes. And I know from my own instrument that the biggest thing that I've ever done for myself is just to take pressure off of myself and to be able to listen to the person in front of me what's actually being said, and everything is there. Because energy is just energy. It's how you shape that energy or allow it to shape you. And I know that's a really strange answer that feels probably ethereal, but yeah, it's different for each person.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
that was
for sharing.
a wonderful question. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We love you.
Going that way.
Hi, my name is Louis Brandmeier, and thank you all. First of all, like the abstract and the specific. I've got a thing that I've really so much that I want to share with you. And this to Anthony too, and then the whole cast. Like, what I've gotten from my experiences with you, just seeing you in interviews and on the show, is a conscientiousness of Star Trek as not just a franchise, but as a conversation and as a community for a world that works for everybody. And so like that's very abstract and philosophical, right? Initially, but like it's very specific. Kate Mulgrew, I think, said, "You guys are the most intelligent fan base." And so I see that in the acting, in how you present yourselves, and it's just so heartwarming. Maybe you can tell I studied philosophy, so it's just like, you're making that difference that I want to make. And on a more personal note, like, my podcast, Clever Orbits, was launched to start celebrating every week. There's new Star Trek on TV, right?
Thank you.
So I'm a coach, and there was this watershed moment last year when one of my best friends, he was dealing with alcoholism and even like suicidal depression. And it was awesome because I was like, here's my coaching man, come onto the podcast and let's talk about discovery. And so like, you guys helped to save the life of one of my best friends. And then there's my little brother who's, he's got this immune disorder. He works really hard. He wants to be an actor. Or he is, cancel that. He's a brilliant actor. He's just waiting to be discovered. I'm inventing the possibility of him and I being extras on Discovery. And so like, yeah, him, being able to be close to him every week. Like he would take time out of his schedule working like overtime. Like, hey, I just want to be on there. And he would just like come up with a creative way of rating the episode at the end. Like, this is like 3 Spocks out of 5.
It's on the show.
But, yeah, still shaking. Now I have a question. Yes. It wouldn't be me if it weren't like elaborate detail in my like love and acknowledgement for all of you. So my question is, being a part of this franchise, like what do you love most about being in this community, in this family, just in the opportunity that you have and that you own to make a positive contribution to the world through this thing? Like, what do you love most?
You. This reaction, this is exactly what we live to see and hear. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you.
There's another little question.
I think it's, I feel that every day we could have a different response to that question, right? Because the things just keep coming, you know what I mean? Dang it, Doug, you wanna, gather myself?
I love you, I love your open heart. I've seen it in interviews before, I just like,
thank you, thank you, and your open heart as well. This is so courageous of you to be so transparent with us right now in this room. So thank you, and to be able to touch your best friend in that way, that, like Doug just said, that's it, right? This is a cyclical exchange. This is a divine encounter, I believe. I believe that I've been called to do this by God, and that this is why, because we touch each other and we change each other. And I deeply believe in that. And I think something that just came to me, I'll tell you the latest, right? The latest that came to me like yesterday was I was doing a study on honor and what it really means to honor someone. And you honor someone by showing them what their true worth is. And you do it not by the physical things, not by the temporal things, not by, looks or image or achievements or whatever, but by their value as a living being and by what their soul contribution is to this world, just automatically, right? And so I think that that's what Star Trek does, is it honors people, it shows them their true worth, right? And thank you, but it's like that's what we see when we see this story that includes everyone, and not just includes, but uplifts everyone. I think we see our true worth in that, and then we end up through these exchanges with each other, showing each other our true worth. So you're so worthy to us, and thank you.
Thank you so much.
I knew I wasn't just joining a show. I knew quite well I was joining a community. And from the beginning on social media, I kept seeing this phrase, welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. I was like, oh, it's a nice euphemism. And then I got here and everybody kept coming up to me at the table and welcome to the family, welcome to the family, welcome to the family. And now I've been saying from the moment I got here to people, I'm not kidding, I've been saying, this is so chill. Like, people are so cool here. Because I figured it out, you know, you respect your family. At the end of the day, you respect your family. And there's so much mutual respect here. Just listening to this young lady tell me about the experiences that she's had meeting fans, and Jonathan Frakes telling me about the experiences he's had going and getting to see his almost nuclear family from Next Generation, and these conventions give them an opportunity and an excuse to catch up with each other's lives, and just, yeah, man, it's crazy and wonderful for us as well.
I know I'm kind of crazy on a roll here. This is just the weekend of my life. I want to acknowledge and appreciate, thanks to everybody who put on this convention, everybody who's doing Star Trek, because my father, who I haven't seen in 27 years, is in the audience with me today. And I'm sure he's proud now.
It's the same
in a way that he hasn't been able to be all for that opportunity too.
Thank you so much. You're next.
Yeah, you're that.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. It's very obvious the affection you guys have for each other, for us, for the show. My question is, though, the tone sometimes seems pretty dark on Discovery, and sometimes it feels like that hope and optimism from the earlier Star Trek series isn't always there. Is there any chance we might see more of that hope, optimism, and exploration come out in season 2, and a little less of the darkness?
Well, you know, I thank you. Hi, and thank you for that. I love these discussions. I have to quote one of our former executive producers, Akiva Goldsman, who said, and I've quoted him before in response to a question similar to that. He said at, I believe it was New York Comic Con or the Paley Fest last year, he said that in his opinion, being a Trekkie his entire life, going to the very first convention there ever was when he was a kid, he said, I personally don't see it as dark, only because it's just that we remember what happened yesterday. And when you have to remember what happened yesterday, you have to mourn for it, and there has to be sorrow for the loss, and for the tumultuous nature of what you're going through, especially at something like wartime, which is what we're in season 1. And so because we're at war, and because war is terrible, and we're losing people, and we remember that, we don't get the reset at the end of every episode. Because of that, it is automatically gonna seem like it's darker. And then he called out several episodes in TOS, I believe, where he said, and I wish I could remember the references he made, but he said if Kirk could remember that this happened, or that happened, then we would see that, and we would see it sort of drop down a little bit. But I think that the hope and optimism that is still inherent in our show is about fighting through those things. And I think that is very much a mirror to the lives that we're leading right now, especially in this divided, ugly time we're in right now. It's being able to go above and beyond what's tough and rough and difficult and straining, and still reach for the hope, even still.
Thank you.